In the middle of a busy city where tall buildings reached for the sky and cars honked endlessly, there was a small flower shop. It wasn't fancy or modern like the shops around it. Its green paint had faded over time, and the wooden sign above. The door read, "Blossoms and Blooms," in uneven letters that looked like they were painted by hand. But inside, the shop was magical. Rows of colorful flowers filled every corner. Roses, lilies, sunflowers, daisies, and more. Their sweet smell greeted anyone who walked through the door. The sunlight streamed through the windows, making the petals shimmer as if they were glowing. At the center of this little world stood Maya, a kind-hearted woman in her early 30s. She had inherited the shop from her grandmother 5 years ago, and since then, she had poured her heart into keeping it alive. Though the shop didn't make much money, Maya loved what she did. Every bouquet she made carried a piece of her soul. She believed that flowers weren't just decorations. They were messengers of emotions. Whether it was joy, love, sorrow, or gratitude, Maya knew how to pick the perfect flowers to express those feelings. Maya was known in the neighborhood for her warm smile and gentle nature. People often came to her not just because she sold beautiful flowers, but because talking to her felt comforting. She listened carefully when customers explained why they needed the flowers, to celebrate a birthday, cheer up a sick friend, or even say goodbye to someone they loved. And no matter how busy she was, Maya always took the time to help them choose something special. One rainy afternoon, the streets outside were slick with water, and the sound of raindrops hitting the pavement echoed through the quiet shop. Maya was arranging a bunch of daisies in a rustic wooden vase when the bell above the door jingled softly. Someone had entered. She looked up and saw a man standing there, shaking droplets off his black umbrella. He wasn't dressed formally. He wore jeans and a leather jacket. But there was something about him that caught Maya's attention. His dark hair was slightly damp from the rain, and his face looked tired, as if he hadn't slept well in days. Yet, his eyes held a quiet determination. "Hi," he said hesitantly, glancing around the shop. "I need some help picking out flowers." Maya smiled warmly and put down the daisies she was holding. "Of course. What's the occasion?" she asked, walking toward him. The man paused as if unsure how to answer. Then, after a moment, he said quietly, "It's for my wife." Something in his tone made Maya stop. There was a sadness in his voice, a heaviness that lingered in the air. She studied his face for a moment, noticing the lines of worry etched around his eyes. She wondered what story lay behind those words. Was his wife celebrating a milestone, or was this something else entirely? Without pressing too hard, Maya nodded and gestured for him to follow her deeper into the shop. "Do you know what kind of flowers she likes?" she asked gently. The man thought for a second before replying. "Lilies. White ones especially. She used to say they reminded her of purity and peace." As he spoke, Maya noticed the way his voice softened when he talked about his wife. It was clear that he cared deeply for her. She began gathering white lilies from one of the buckets, selecting only the freshest blooms. As she worked, she couldn't help but ask, did she have a favorite place where she liked to see flowers? The man smiled faintly at the question. "Yes, actually. Whenever we traveled, she would visit gardens. She loved stopping to admire the beauty of nature. Even on our honeymoon, she spent hours wandering through a botanical garden instead of going to the beach." Listening to him, Maya felt a pang of empathy. She could tell that this wasn't just any ordinary order. It was personal. Whatever the reason, these flowers meant a lot to him. She wanted to make sure the bouquet was perfect. While arranging the lilies, Maya found herself stealing glances at the man. Despite his casual appearance, there was an aura of confidence about him. He carried himself with purpose, almost like someone who was used to being in charge. But at the same time, he didn't act arrogant or demanding. Instead, he seemed humble and thoughtful. Maya's curiosity grew, but she reminded herself to stay focused on her task. Finally, the bouquet was ready. Maya stepped back to admire her work. The The white lilies stood tall and elegant, surrounded by delicate sprigs of baby's breath. It was simple yet breathtaking, a fitting tribute to whoever it was meant for. She handed the bouquet to the man, who examined it closely. "This is beautiful," he said sincerely. "Thank you." Before leaving, he turned to look at Maya one last time. "You're really good at what you do," he told her. "Not many people take the time to listen like you do." Maya smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I'm glad I could help," she replied. As the man disappeared into the rain, Maya watched him go, wondering about the story behind the flowers. Little did she know their paths were destined to cross again, and that this seemingly ordinary encounter would lead to something extraordinary. The next morning, Maya woke up thinking about the man from the day before. His words still lingered in her mind, the way he spoke about his wife with such tenderness, the sadness hidden beneath his calm exterior. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to his story than he had let on. Who was this man? Why did he seem so burdened? And why did he choose white lilies, a flower often associated with remembrance and mourning? Maya tried to focus on her work, arranging bouquets for other customers who came into the shop throughout the day, but every time the bell above the door jingled, she found herself glancing up, half expecting to see him again. He didn't return, though, and by evening, she convinced herself that their meeting had been nothing more than a brief encounter between a florist and a customer. Little did Maya know, Daniel, the man with the leather jacket and tired eyes, was wrestling with emotions far deeper than she could have imagined. Later that night, after closing the shop, Maya sat alone in her small apartment upstairs. The rain had stopped, but the streets outside were still damp, reflecting the dim glow of streetlights. As she sipped a cup of tea, her thoughts drifted back to Daniel. She wondered where he had taken the bouquet. Was it for an anniversary, a birthday, or perhaps something else entirely? Meanwhile, across town, Daniel stood in front of a polished granite headstone in a quiet cemetery. The moonlight illuminated the engraving, "Beloved wife and mother." Beneath the name was a short message, "Forever in our hearts." Daniel knelt down and placed the bouquet of white lilies carefully at the base of the grave. For a moment, he simply stared at the stone, his jaw clenched as if holding back tears. Then softly, he began to speak. "Hey, sweetheart," he whispered, his voice cracking slightly. "I brought your favorite flowers. I hope you like them." He paused, taking a deep breath. Talking to a tombstone felt strange sometimes, but it helped ease the ache in his chest. Over the past 3 years, these visits had become a ritual, a way for him to stay connected to the woman he loved more than anything. "I miss you every day," he continued. "Lily misses you too. She's growing up so fast, you'd be proud of her. She's smart, funny, and kind, just like you." His voice trailed off, and he wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. Visiting the cemetery always stirred up memories, both happy and painful. He remembered the first time they met, how her laughter lit up the room. He remembered their wedding day, the way she looked in her white dress, clutching a bouquet of, you guessed it, white lilies. And he remembered the hardest moments, watching her fight the illness that eventually took her away from him. After a while, Daniel stood up and sighed heavily. "I'll come back soon," he promised. "Take care of yourself until then," as he walked back to his car. He thought about the florist who had helped him pick out the flowers earlier that day. Her kindness had surprised him. Most people treated him differently once they realized he was wealthy or powerful. They either fawned over him or became nervous around him. But Maya hadn't done either. She had simply listened and offered her expertise without expecting anything in return. For the first time in months, Daniel felt a flicker of peace. Maybe it was the flowers. Maybe it was the memory of his wife. Or maybe it was the warmth of Maya's smile. Whatever it was, he knew he wouldn't forget it anytime soon. The following week passed uneventfully for Maya. Business at the flower shop remained steady, and life carried on as usual. Still, she couldn't stop thinking about Daniel. Something about him intrigued her. He seemed so ordinary at first glance, yet there was an air of authority about him, a confidence that suggested he was used to making decisions and leading others. Yet, he didn't act entitled or demanding. Instead, he radiated humility, almost, as if he were deliberately trying to blend in. On Friday afternoon, as Maya watered the plants near the shop window, she noticed a black sedan pull up outside. The driver stepped out, opened the passenger door, and waited patiently. A moment later, Daniel emerged from the car. This time, he wasn't wearing jeans and a leather jacket. Instead, he wore a tailored suit that fit him perfectly. His hair was neatly combed, and his posture exuded professionalism. Maya blinked in surprise. Could this really be the same man who had visited her shop last week? If not for his familiar face, she might not have recognized him. Daniel entered the shop, and the bell above the door jingled softly. When he saw Maya, he smiled warmly. "Hi again," he said. "Do you remember me?" "Of course," Maya replied, returning his smile. "How could I forget? What brings you here today?" Daniel hesitated for a moment, then said, "I wanted to thank you properly. The flowers you helped me pick, they meant a lot to me." Maya tilted her head curiously. "That's very kind of you, but you already thanked me when you bought them." "Yes, but—" Daniel paused, searching for the right words. "You don't understand. Those flowers weren't just for anyone. They were for my late wife." Maya's heart sank. So her suspicions had been correct. She lowered her watering can and looked at him sympathetically. "I'm so sorry for your loss," she said softly. "Thank you," Daniel replied, his voice thick with emotion. "It's been 3 years, but some days it still feels like yesterday. She was my best friend, my partner, my everything. Losing her changed me in ways I never expected." Maya nodded silently, giving him space to continue if he wanted to. After a moment, Daniel added, "She loved flowers. Whenever we traveled, she would drag me to gardens and parks. She said nature reminded her of life's beauty, even during tough times. That's why I wanted to honor her with something special." Listening to him, Maya felt a lump form in her throat. She admired his courage in sharing such personal details with someone he barely knew. It must have taken a lot for him to open up like this. "I'm glad I could help," she said finally. "Your wife sounds like an amazing person." "She was," Daniel agreed, smiling faintly. "And Lily, our daughter, is just like her. She's 6 now, full of energy and curiosity. Raising her without her mom has been challenging, to say the least." Maya's heart went out to him. Being a single parent was hard enough. Doing it while grieving the loss of a spouse must have been unimaginably difficult. Before leaving, Daniel handed Maya a business card. "If you ever need anything, or if you're curious about what I do, feel free to reach out. I owe you one." Maya accepted the card, though she didn't think much of it at the time. She tucked it into her apron pocket and waved goodbye as he stepped back into the sedan. Once he was gone, she pulled out the card and examined it closely. Printed neatly in bold letters were the words, "Daniel Carter, CEO, Carter Tech Innovations." Her eyes widened in shock. Daniel wasn't just any ordinary man. He was the founder and CEO of one of the most successful tech companies in the country. How had she not seen it before? Everything suddenly made sense. The confidence, the subtle hints of wealth, the chauffeured car. But what struck Maya most wasn't his title or status. It was the fact that despite all his success, he had treated her with genuine respect and gratitude. In a world where power often corrupted, Daniel had chosen kindness. That night, as Maya closed up the shop, she reflected on the day's events. She had started the morning thinking about Daniel and ended it learning something extraordinary about him. Life, she realized, had a funny way of surprising you when you least expected it. And deep down, she knew this wouldn't be the last time. Their paths crossed. The days that followed Daniel's second visit to the flower shop were quiet for Maya. She returned to her routine, arranging bouquets, watering plants, and chatting with customers who stopped by. But despite the calm rhythm of her work, her mind kept wandering back to Daniel. The revelation about his identity as a CEO had left her astonished. How could someone so powerful seem so humble? It wasn't just his title that intrigued her. It was the way he carried himself, the sincerity in his voice when he spoke about his late wife, and the gratitude he showed for even the smallest gestures. Maya found herself replaying their conversations. In her head, she remembered how carefully he had chosen the flowers, how openly he had shared his feelings, and how genuinely he had thanked her. Most people in his position would have been guarded or aloof, but Daniel had been different. He had treated her like an equal, not someone beneath him. That kind of humility was rare, especially in someone with his level of success. Her thoughts were interrupted one afternoon when the bell above the door jingled. A young girl, no older than 6, walked into the shop holding the hand of a woman who looked like her nanny. The child's bright blue eyes scanned the room eagerly, taking in the vibrant colors of the flowers. "Can I help you?" Maya asked with a smile, stepping forward. The little girl pointed excitedly at a vase filled with sunflowers. "Those are pretty," she exclaimed. "Mommy used to love them." Maya froze momentarily. The mention of Mommy stirred something. Inside her, a mix of sadness and recognition. Could this be Lily, Daniel's daughter? She glanced at the woman accompanying the child, who nodded subtly, confirming Maya's suspicion. "Yes, sweetheart," the nanny said gently. "Your daddy told me to bring you here to pick out some flowers for your mommy." Maya's heart softened. She knelt down to meet Lily at eye level. "Hi there," she said warmly. "What's your name?" "I'm Lily," the girl replied, shyly, clutching a stuffed bunny tighter. "My mommy liked flowers a lot. Daddy says she was really good at picking them." "Well, maybe we can find some flowers together that your mommy would have loved," Maya suggested. "Would you like that?" Lily nodded enthusiastically, her shyness melting away. Together they explored the shop, choosing a mix of sunflowers, daisies, and white lilies. As they worked, Maya learned more about Lily's personality. She was curious, imaginative, and full of energy, qualities that reminded Maya of Daniel. There was also a sweetness about her, a gentleness that hinted at the bond she must have shared with her mother. When the bouquet was ready, Maya tied it with a ribbon and handed it to Lily. "Here you go," she said. "This is beautiful. Your mommy would be proud." Lily beamed, hugging the flowers close to her chest. "Thank you," she said before skipping out of the shop with her nanny. After they left, Maya felt a renewed sense of connection to Daniel. Meeting Lily gave her a glimpse into the life he was trying to build for his daughter, a life filled with love, memories, and reminders of the woman they both missed dearly. It made her admire him even more. A few days later, Maya received an unexpected email. At first glance, it seemed ordinary enough, an automated message from a sender named Daniel Carter. But when she opened it, she realized it was personal. "Dear Maya," the email began, "I hope this message finds you well. First, let me thank you again for helping me choose the flowers for my wife. They meant more to me than I can express. You have a gift not just for arranging flowers but for understanding people. Not everyone takes the time to listen the way you do." Maya read the words slowly, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She hadn't expected such heartfelt gratitude, especially from someone as accomplished as Daniel. The email continued. "I wanted to share something with you. Last week, on the anniversary of my wife's passing, I visited her favorite park and placed the bouquet you helped me create near the bench where we used to sit together. It brought me comfort knowing that the flowers came from someone who truly cared. Thank you for being part of that moment." As Maya scrolled further, she noticed an invitation attached to the email. Daniel explained that his company was hosting a charity gala in 2 weeks, with proceeds going toward supporting single parents and children in need. "I'd be honored if you could join us," he wrote. "It would mean a lot to me to have you there." Maya sat back in her chair, stunned. A charity gala? With wealthy executives and influential figures? It sounded intimidating, to say the least. She wasn't sure she belonged in such a setting. But then she thought about Daniel's kindness, the way he had opened up to her and the impact his story had on her. Maybe attending the event would give her a chance to learn more about his world. and perhaps repay the kindness he had shown her. After some deliberation, Maya decided to accept the invitation. She replied to the email, thanking Daniel for his thoughtful words and agreeing to attend the gala. When she hit send, she felt a flutter of excitement mixed with nervousness. What would the evening hold? The night of the gala arrived sooner than Maya expected. Dressed in a simple yet elegant gown, she stood outside the luxurious hotel where the event was being held. The building gleamed under the city lights, its grand entrance lined with red carpet and photographers snapping photos of arriving guests. Maya hesitated for a moment, feeling out of place among the sea of designer dresses and sparkling jewelry. But before she could second-guess herself, she spotted Daniel standing near the doorway, greeting attendees with a warm smile. When he saw her, his face lit up. "Maya," he called, walking over to meet her. "You made it. I'm so glad you're here." "Thank you for inviting me," she replied, smiling nervously. "This is quite the event." Daniel chuckled. "Don't worry, you'll fit right in. And besides, tonight isn't about glamour, it's about making a difference. Come on, let me introduce you to some people." Throughout the evening, Daniel stayed by Maya's side, introducing her to colleagues, friends, and business partners. To her surprise, everyone was friendly and welcoming. They complimented her choice of dress, asked about her flower shop, and expressed admiration for her ability to connect with others. Slowly, Maya began to relax, enjoying the lively atmosphere and engaging conversations. During dinner, Daniel delivered a speech that left the entire room silent. He spoke candidly about his journey, the challenges of losing his wife, the struggles of raising Lily alone, and the importance of giving back to the community. "When I lost my wife," he said, his voice steady but emotional, "I realized how much support matters. Single parents often face overwhelming odds, and children growing up without one parent need extra care and encouragement. That's why we're here tonight, to ensure no family has to face those hardships alone." He paused, glancing toward Maya, seated a few tables away. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness leave the biggest impact. A bouquet of flowers may seem insignificant, but to someone grieving, it can mean the world. I want to take a moment to thank Maya, whose thoughtfulness reminded me of the beauty in human connection. The room erupted in applause, and Maya blushed deeply, overwhelmed by the attention. She hadn't expected Daniel to acknowledge her publicly, let alone praise her so sincerely. As their eyes met across the room, she felt a surge of gratitude and something else she couldn't quite put into words. By the end of the night, Maya knew she had experienced something extraordinary. The gala wasn't just about raising money. It was about fostering connections and creating hope. And through it all, Daniel had been a constant presence, guiding her, supporting her, and making her feel valued. As they said goodbye outside the hotel, Daniel smiled warmly. "Thank you for coming tonight," he said. "You've inspired me more than you know." Maya shook her head modest-sony. "No, Daniel, you're the one inspiring others, including me." With that, they parted ways, each carrying a newfound appreciation for the other. Little did they know, their bond was only beginning to grow, and soon it would lead them down a path neither could have anticipated. In the weeks following the charity gala, Maya and Daniel began to form a friendship that neither of them had anticipated. It started with small gestures, a text message here, a phone call there. At first, their conversations were light and casual. Updates about work, stories about Lily's antics at school, or recommendations for books and movies. But as time went on, they found themselves opening up more, sharing pieces of their lives that they rarely discussed with others. For Maya, talking to Daniel felt different from any other relationship she'd had before. He listened intently, asking thoughtful questions and offering advice when needed. Unlike some people who dismissed her flower shop as just a job, Daniel understood how much it meant to her. He admired her dedication and creativity, often complimenting her ability to turn emotions into arrangements. In return, Maya appreciated his honesty and vulnerability. Despite his success, he didn't shy away from discussing his struggles. How, Hard it was to balance being a father and CEO, how lonely it sometimes felt raising Lily without his wife, and how he still missed her every single day. Their connection deepened during coffee meetings. After the gala, Daniel invited Maya to join him one Saturday morning at a cozy cafe near Central Park. She agreed, though she couldn't help feeling nervous. Would this outing feel awkward? Would they run out of things to talk about? Her worries vanished the moment she arrived. Daniel greeted her with a warm smile, holding the door open for her as they entered the cafe. Inside, the air smelled of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods. They ordered their drinks. Maya chose a latte while Daniel opted for black coffee and settled into a quiet corner table by the window. "So," Daniel began, stirring sugar into his cup. "How have things been at the shop?" Maya laughed, softly. "Busy, as always. Spring is peak season for weddings and events, so I've been juggling orders nonstop." "That doesn't surprise me," Daniel said. "You're amazing at what you do. I bet your customers love working with you." "Well, I try my best," Maya replied modestly. "What about you? How's work going?" Daniel sighed, leaning back in his chair. "It's challenging. We're launching a new project at the company, which means long hours and stressful deadlines. But honestly, it's not the work that gets to me. It's everything else." "Everything else?" Maya prompted gently. He hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, like parenting. Being a dad without a partner is harder than I ever imagined. Some days I feel like I'm doing okay. Other days I wonder if I'm messing everything up." Maya reached across the table and placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "You're doing great, Daniel. Look at Lily. She's happy, curious, and full of life. That says a lot about the kind of father you are." Her words seemed to ease some of the tension in his shoulders. "Thanks, Maya. That means a lot coming from you." As they continued talking, the conversation shifted to lighter topics: travel destinations, favorite foods, childhood memories. Maya shared stories about growing up in her grandmother's flower shop, learning the art of arranging bouquets and listening to customers' stories. Daniel, in turn, talked about his early days as an entrepreneur, describing the sleepless nights and sacrifices it took to build his company. By the end of the meeting, they both left feeling lighter, as if a weight had been lifted off their chests. Over the next few months, these coffee dates became a regular part of their routine. Sometimes they met at the cafe, other times they strolled through nearby parks, enjoying the fresh air and scenic views. On one occasion, Daniel surprised Maya by bringing her to a botanical garden. The sprawling grounds were filled with colorful blooms, winding paths, and tranquil ponds. As they wandered through the gardens, Maya noticed how Daniel's face lit up whenever he pointed out a particular flower or tree. "This place reminds me of her," he admitted quietly, referring to his late wife. "We used to come here all the time. She loved the orchids." Maya smiled, understanding the significance of the moment. "It's beautiful," she said. "I can see why she loved it so much." They spent hours exploring the garden, taking photos and sharing laughter. For the first time in years, Daniel felt a sense of peace, a reminder that even amidst loss, there could still be joy. Back at the flower shop, Maya found herself inspired by Daniel's resilience. His determination to honor his wife's memory, while building a better future for Lily, motivated her to pursue her own dreams. She started experimenting with new designs, incorporating unique elements into her arrangements. Her creativity flourished, attracting more customers and earning rave reviews. One afternoon, as she arranged a bouquet of vibrant sunflowers, the bell above the door jingled. A familiar voice called out, "Surprise!" Maya turned around to see Daniel standing there holding a large box wrapped in shiny paper. "What's this?" she asked, setting down the flowers. "It's for you," he said, handing her the gift. "Open it." Curious, Maya carefully unwrapped the box to reveal a stunning vase made of hand-blown glass. Its intricate design shimmered in the sunlight, catching every color of the rainbow. She gasped in awe. "Daniel, it's gorgeous, but why?" He grinned sheepishly. "I saw it at an art gallery last week and thought of you." You deserve something special, a piece that reflects your talent and passion. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes. No one had ever given her such a meaningful gift before. "Thank you," she whispered, hugging him tightly. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Daniel replied. "Just promise me you'll keep doing what you do best, spreading beauty and kindness wherever you go." As their friendship grew stronger, Maya and Daniel began spending more time together outside of planned outings. Occasionally, Daniel brought Lily along, introducing her to Maya's world of flowers. The little girl quickly became enamored with the shop, marveling at the fragrant petals and bright colors. Maya taught her how to make simple bouquets, laughing, as Lily proudly presented her creations to her dad. "She adores you," Daniel told Maya one evening after closing up the shop. "You remind her of her mom, the way you care about people and make them feel special." Maya blushed, touched by the comparison. "That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." "It's true," Daniel insisted. "You have a way of bringing light into people's lives, including mine." His words lingered in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Maya looked at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. For the first time, she allowed herself to consider the possibility that their bond might be more than just friendship. Could two people from such different worlds truly find happiness together? Before either of them could say anything further, Lily ran up to them, clutching a daisy she had picked earlier. "Look what I made," she exclaimed, holding out the flower. Daniel chuckled, ruffling her hair. "That's beautiful, sweetheart. Just like you." Maya smiled, watching the tender exchange between father and daughter. Despite the challenges they faced, Daniel and Lily shared a love that was undeniable, a love that Maya now realized she wanted to be a part of. As the sun set over the city, casting golden hues through the shop windows, Maya knew one thing for certain: her life was changing in ways she never expected. And for the first time in a long time, she welcomed it with open arms. The months passed quickly, and Maya's friendship with Daniel continued to blossom. What had started as a chance encounter in her flower shop had grown into something neither of them could have predicted. Their bond was built on shared experiences, mutual respect, and the quiet understanding that sometimes life throws unexpected challenges, but also unexpected joys. One crisp autumn evening, as the leaves turned shades of gold and red, Daniel invited Maya to another event, a formal dinner, hosted by one of his business partners. It was being held at an upscale restaurant overlooking the city skyline. Though Maya initially hesitated, she still felt out of place in such polished settings. Daniel reassured her. "You'll be fine," he said with a warm smile. "Besides, I want you there. You make these events better." Encouraged by his words, Maya agreed. She spent hours preparing for the evening, choosing a soft emerald green dress that complemented her complexion and styling her hair in loose waves. When she stood in front of the mirror, she barely recognized herself. This wasn't the casual florist who spent her days surrounded by petals and soil. It was someone stepping into a world she had only glimpsed from afar. When Daniel arrived to pick her up, he couldn't hide his admiration. "You look stunning," he said sincerely, offering her his arm. Maya blushed but accepted it, feeling a flutter of excitement as they stepped into the sleek black car waiting outside. The restaurant was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of the glittering city below, while chandeliers cast a soft glow over the elegantly decorated tables. Waiters moved gracefully through the crowd, serving champagne and hors d'oeuvres to guests dressed in designer gowns and tailored suits. Maya clung to Daniel's arm, trying to blend in as best she could. To her relief, Daniel stayed close, introducing her to everyone they met. His colleagues greeted her warmly, clearly impressed by her charm and poise. One woman even complimented her choice of dress, saying it reminded her of springtime gardens. Maya smiled, realizing how much her passion for flowers influenced even her personal style. As the evening progressed, Daniel excused himself briefly to speak with some associates. Left alone for a moment, Maya wandered toward the balcony, drawn by the cool night air and the mesmerizing view of the city lights. Leaning against the railing, she took a deep breath, letting the calm wash over her. "You seem lost in thought," a voice said behind her. Maya turned to see Daniel approaching, 2 glasses of sparkling wine in hand. He handed her one and joined her at the railing. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. She hesitated, then admitted, "I was just wondering how I ended up here. A few months ago, my biggest worry was whether I'd sell enough bouquets to pay rent. Now I'm standing in this beautiful place surrounded by people I never imagined meeting, and yet I feel like I belong." Daniel studied her face, his expression thoughtful. "You do belong here, Maya. Not because of where we are or who's around us, but because of who you are. You bring something unique to every situation: authenticity, kindness, and a sense of purpose. That's rare, especially in this world." His words touched her deeply. For so long, Maya had doubted her place in life, feeling overshadowed by others' achievements. But Daniel saw her differently. Not as someone ordinary, but as someone extraordinary. Later that night, during dessert, Daniel stood up to deliver a toast. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to him. He began by thanking the hosts for organizing the event, then shifted to a more personal note. "I've been fortunate in many ways," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've built a successful company, made incredible friendships, and raised a wonderful daughter. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that success doesn't mean anything without connection, without people who remind us what truly matters." He paused, glancing toward Maya, seated a few tables away. "Tonight I want to acknowledge someone who has changed my life in ways I didn't expect. Maya isn't just a talented florist, she's a remarkable person. Her kindness, creativity, and ability to listen have reminded me of the beauty in human relationships. She's taught me that even in the busiest times, it's important to stop and appreciate the little things, like a perfectly arranged bouquet or a heartfelt conversation." The room erupted in applause, and Maya felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment. She hadn't expected Daniel to single her out, let alone praise her so openly. As their eyes met across the room, she saw the sincerity in his gaze, and something else too. Something that hinted at feelings deeper than friendship. After the dinner ended, Daniel and Maya left the restaurant together. The streets were quiet now, the city bathed in moonlight. They walked side by side, neither speaking but both aware of the unspoken emotions between them. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. "I meant every word I said tonight," he told her. "You've brought light back into my life, Maya. I don't know what I did to deserve your friendship or whatever this is, but I'm grateful for it." Maya stopped walking and turned to face him. "Daniel, I don't know what to say. You've done so much for me too. You've shown me that it's possible to find happiness again even after loss. You've inspired me to believe in myself." For a moment, they simply stared at each other, the weight of their feelings hanging in the air. Then slowly, Daniel reached out and took her hand. "Maya, I care about you. More than I should, maybe. But I can't help it. You're kind, strong, and full of life. And I think I might be falling in love with you." Tears welled up in Maya's eyes. She had suspected his feelings, but hearing him say the words aloud made her heart race. "Daniel," she whispered, "I care about you too, so much. But I'm scared. We come from such different worlds. How can this work?" He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing away a tear. "We'll figure it out together. I'm not asking for perfection, I'm asking for a chance to build something real, something meaningful. With you." Maya nodded, unable to speak. In that moment, all her doubts melted away. She realized that love wasn't about finding someone exactly like you. It was about finding someone who completed you, flaws and all. They returned to Daniel's apartment later that night, sitting on the couch as the city lights twinkled. Outside the window, Lily was already asleep, curled up with her stuffed bunny in her bedroom. Daniel wrapped an arm around Maya, pulling her close. For the first time in years, he felt whole. "So," he said softly, "does this mean we're officially giving us a shot?" Maya smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. Yes, let's give it a shot. As they sat there, holding each other under the glow of the city lights, Maya knew she had found something special, something worth fighting for. And though the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, she believed, with Daniel by her side, they could face anything together. The months that followed Daniel and Maya's confession of love were filled with a mix of excitement, uncertainty, and hope. They knew their relationship wouldn't be without challenges. They came from different worlds after all, but they were determined to make it work. For both of them, this wasn't just about falling in love. It was about finding someone who understood their past, supported their present, and believed in their future. Daniel introduced Maya to his close friends and colleagues, explaining how she had become an important part of his life. To his relief, everyone welcomed her warmly, especially Lily. The little girl adored Maya, often asking her to join them for family outings or help her with school projects. Maya, in turn, embraced the role of being a supportive presence in Lily's life. She didn't try to replace Lily's mother. She couldn't, nor did she want to, but she offered something equally valuable: companionship, care, and encouragement. On weekends, the three of them would visit parks, museums, or botanical gardens. One sunny Saturday, they spent hours exploring a local flower festival. Lily ran ahead, pointing out her favorite blooms, while Daniel and Maya strolled hand in hand behind her. Watching them together, strangers might have mistaken them for a family. And though they weren't quite there yet, Maya allowed herself to dream of what the future might hold. Despite their growing bond, reality occasionally reminded them of the differences in their lives. Maya still ran her small flower shop, juggling orders and managing finances on her own. Meanwhile, Daniel's schedule remained hectic, filled with meetings, conferences, and late nights at the office. Balancing their priorities wasn't always easy, but they made it a point to communicate openly. If Daniel had to cancel plans because of work, he called Maya later to explain. If Maya needed extra time to prepare for a big event at the shop, Daniel helped however he could, whether by picking up coffee for her team or surprising her with lunch deliveries. Their commitment to each other deepened during these moments. Instead of letting obstacles drive them apart, they used them as opportunities to grow closer. They learned to appreciate the little things: a quiet dinner at home, a shared laugh over something silly, or simply sitting side by side in comfortable silence. One evening, as autumn gave way to winter, Daniel invited Maya to a special dinner at his apartment. The table was set with candles and fresh flowers, white lilies, of course, and soft music played in the background. When Maya arrived, clutching a bouquet she had brought as a gift, Daniel greeted her with a kiss and led her to the dining area. "Wow," she said, looking around. "This is beautiful." "I wanted tonight to feel special," Daniel replied, pulling out her chair, "because I need to talk to you about something important." Maya's heart skipped a beat. Important conversations usually meant one of two things: either good news or difficult decisions. She tried to stay calm as they sat down and began eating. After dessert, a rich chocolate cake that Maya couldn't resist complimenting, Daniel cleared his throat nervously. "Maya, I've been thinking a lot lately about us, about where we are and where I want us to go." She nodded, encouraging him to continue. "You've changed my life in ways I never imagined," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "You've shown me that it's possible to love again, to build a new life without forgetting the past. You've been there for me and for Lily, and I can't imagine my world without you anymore." Maya felt tears welling up in her eyes. She reached across the table and took his hand. "Daniel, I feel the same way. You and Lily mean everything to me." He smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "That's why I want to ask you something that scares me a little, but also excites me more than anything else." Reaching into his pocket, Daniel pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it to reveal a delicate diamond ring, its sparkle catching the candlelight. Maya gasped, covering her mouth with her free hand. "Maya," Daniel said, his voice trembling slightly, Will you marry me? Not because I expect you to fill any void or take anyone's place, but because I want to spend the rest of my life loving you, supporting you, and building a future together. For a moment, Maya couldn't speak. Her mind raced with thoughts of what this decision would mean, not just for her, but for Lily, for Daniel, and for their blended family. Then, through happy tears, she nodded. Yes, she whispered. Of course, yes. Daniel slipped the ring onto her finger, pulling her into a tight embrace. They held each other for a long time, savoring the weight of the promise they had just made. When Lily woke up the next morning, she found Maya and Daniel waiting for her in the living room. At first, she rubbed her sleepy eyes, confused by their broad smiles. "What's going on?" she asked groggily. Daniel knelt down to meet her at eye level. "Lily, we have some exciting news," he said. "Maya and I are getting married." Lily's eyes widened in delight. "Really?" she squealed, jumping into Maya's arms. "Does this mean you're going to be my mom?" Maya hugged her tightly, blinking back tears. "If you'll have me," she said softly. "Yes," Lily exclaimed, hugging her even harder. "I love you, Maya." "I love you too, sweetheart," Maya replied, her voice thick with emotion. As the three of them celebrated together, eating pancakes, dancing to cheerful music, and planning dream weddings, Maya realized how much her life had transformed since that rainy afternoon when Daniel first walked into her flower shop. Back then, she had no idea that helping him pick flowers would lead to this moment, a chance at happiness she hadn't dared to hope for. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, Maya and Daniel worked together to create a ceremony that reflected their journey. It was held in a botanical garden, surrounded by vibrant blooms and lush greenery. Friends, family, and even loyal customers from Maya's shop attended, filling the space with laughter and joy. Lily served as the flower girl, scattering petals along the aisle with infectious enthusiasm. When Daniel saw Maya walking toward him in her elegant gown, holding a bouquet of white lilies, his breath caught in his throat. She looked radiant, glowing with happiness and love. As they exchanged vows, promising to cherish and support each other through every season of life, the crowd erupted in applause. Afterward, during the reception, Maya stood beside Daniel, watching as guests danced and celebrated. She glanced at Lily, laughing with friends, at Daniel's proud smile, and at the flowers decorating every table. In that moment, she felt truly blessed. "Thank you," Daniel whispered, wrapping an arm around her waist, "for saying yes, for believing in us." Maya leaned her head against his shoulder. "Thank you for showing me that love can bloom in the most unexpected places." And so, amidst the beauty of nature and the warmth of those who cared about them, Maya and Daniel began a new chapter, one rooted in love, resilience, and the belief that even in life's darkest moments, light can still shine through.